Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Minute, episode 3. Okay, I'm Ed Rummick, and here we're going to try to keep our videos to 1 minute or less. And rather than telling you what to think, we're going to encourage you to think. I may go a little bit over than a minute today. I just want to share a little bit of a story about this quote afterwards. After a little bit of investigation, since this quote was credited with slightly varying, different variations of it, to a lot of different people, including Confucius. I found that it was not said by Confucius at all, and there's an interesting story that goes with this. So our quote is this. Let me read the original version for you here. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. I'll read it for you one more time. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. So we've all heard different variations of this over the years, and it's one that I think is very important. That failure is part of learning. How do you learn how to deal with failure? How can you get back up and can continue going? So what I thought was interesting with this is right now here in Philadelphia, there's a lot of talk about what's going on with the 76ers and their general manager. Is he the one that was sending out these anonymous tweets through burner accounts on Twitter? The accounts are traced back to his wife's cell phone. So was it his wife actually putting this stuff out there and information he gave to her at home? And the majority of the city is calling for this guy to be fired. Well, for the origination of this quote is actually by Oliver Goldsmith. And you may say, I've never heard of that guy. Who is he? So in 1760 and 1761, there were a series of letters written by an imaginary Chinese traveler based in London named Lin Chi Altangji. It was published in the Public Ledger magazine of London. The actual author was an Irishman named Oliver Goldsmith. So he was writing these letters anonymously so that he could comment on what was going on in the area. He used the perspective of an outsider from China to comment on and satirize life and manners of the city. He later achieved fame with his novel, The Victor of Wakefield, and his play, She Stoops to Conquer. The letters were collected and released in a book in 1762 under the title The Citizen of the World, or Letters from a Chinese Philosopher. Residing in London to his friends in the East, the seventh letter from the Lin Chang Altangji included this quote: "Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall." And the quote was credited to Confucius, but with further investigation by quote investigators, where I'm reading this from, Confucius never actually said that, and it later came out that he was anonymously writing these letters in order to comment on what was going on in London. And I just thought, there it is, way back in the mid-1700s. People were anonymous using the media of the day, which was writing letters to magazines and newspapers to be able to comment anonymously on what was going on in the world. And it's basically what's happening right now with Twitter. But now everybody knows who this is with Twitter, and they're going after this guy's job. Whether or not he should be fired over it, I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into what was said and what was done with it. But I just thought it was interesting that hundreds of years later, the exact same thing is going on, just in a different medium. So anyway, that was our quote. Please let me know your thoughts below. I thought the story that goes along with it was quite interesting, and I'll see you guys next week.